I don't really believe that time exists, is a human invention. I try to not touch my phone as long as possible in the morning and as early as possible in the evening. It's really a privilege to be alive. With AI now, a really mental mindfuck. I share a few things, a few thoughts from, let's say, 15-year plus experience in the world of consciousness. And also I've done a lot of psychedelics. I would say I have seen sometimes even really like the Matrix movie stuff. Maybe the most important thing is that it is an illusion, first of all, the Matrix, or a state of being asleep, or you can also call it a state of being controlled by outside world. The Matrix exists, in my opinion, because people are asleep. There is maybe a reason why many people are asleep today, because we are so distracted. I would say this movie, or whatever you call it, or simulation, has become so complex. And Terence McKenna, he was really an amazing human being, and he said in his final interview, and I want to link it in the description, if you have a chance, watch it. I have watched it 10 plus times. He says the things get weirder and weirder and weirder. I refer this also to the Matrix. The things get more weird as more disconnected we are towards ourselves, towards our essence, intuition, towards the divine or the universal consciousness. And why it happens? Because I say we became so conform and so conventional. I must say I was always, in my spirit, I was always a rebel. And a rebel is not a rebel who wants a revolution. A rebel is who steps up for oneself. A rebel is somebody who's curious to find out how life is working. A rebel is somebody who's challenging to be conform. And it still triggers, the shit out of me to be conform. If I'm conform and I would unconform and I hurt other people, I'm very aware. I'm not an unconscious monster walking through life, very selfish. If it doesn't hurt somebody, then why would I not do it? I have to step up and be true to myself. Same is, for example, with food. I can't eat meat anymore since more than 10 years. And why would I care what you do? Does it affect if you eat meat? It does not really affect me. I find it very stupid what we do to animals. And yet it has no direct effect on my life. So the Matrix is really, I also say, the social conditioning. COVID for me was like a really mental mindfuck. I mean, we are here in Unfiltered. If people go and wrap plastic around children's playground, I have no whatsoever respect for those beings. I think it's one of the darkest souls, and I can only call it the fucking perversion. And in retrospect, a lot of the conspiracy theorists came actually true, because people wanted to be conform, and it would be okay if they are conform for themselves, but you don't need to imply others into your conformity. I'm very serious about this. As long as it doesn't affect you, leave the others alone. That's really the essence, very much, because it does not make sense, and it's for me a mental and physical abuse. The issue maybe is because we are also depending on those smartphones. I would say it's my greatest addiction, and I admit it. We are so addicted. It makes our life very much easier. For example, when you're on psychedelics, you can't use a smartphone. It's horrible to look at that screen, because you can see how bad it is. You're going to see through that device what it does. It's almost like George Orwell's prediction. Then, this false reality came also from this belief of success, which is found in consumerism or quick stimulus, as I say, or you can also call it entertainment. if I buy a $4,000 handbag, I make my wife happy, or I gonna have a high when I have something materialistic. I don't know. It gives you very short. It's like sugar. It gives you these false dopamine spikes. This spiritual sleepwalking is maybe the most important thought when it comes to why we are living in this false reality / matrix, because I always say life became so comfortable because sugar, I tell you, will be always free. It's fascinating that sugar water is more expensive than water. And it was 2,000 years ago the same. Give them entertainment and a little bit of sugar and they will not be rebellious, or there won't be a revolution as long as you give them cheap entertainment. I say we have a lot of cheap entertainment out there and we have a lot of sugar. The matrix doesn't do anything, even also government, I say, or shadow, all this dark, it's 100% clear we are enslaved. Slavery has never been gone. That's maybe a tough one, but I also say the Nazis never left, or racism really did not disappear. It just went into underground or in a more invisible. We believe to be free, but when you are really honest, if you live 9 to 5 and you have a mortgage, you're not really free. I mean, the level of freedom is less than, I would say, 500 years ago, even if those people had not the technology or the options of today. On a mindset level, I believe we are really enslaved, and it starts from birth, actually. Like, I'm really challenging schools. It's fascinating that we go to Africa and we want to brainwash the undeveloped country. I did a lot of work in Myanmar. I'm very careful when it comes to we have to educate anybody. No, we don't need to, because education is a lot of time brainwash. I admire people who drop out from school. I admit I did an MBA. I'm not really proud of it because it made me not smarter. It was a lot of time invested in universities and all this stuff. So I'm just carefully, I'm not saying good or bad, I'm just careful. When it comes to education, be very careful what you wish for other people, because I'm seeing it from two different angles. So, for example, I supported a kid in Rio de Janeiro on the street. He was 20 and spoke several languages fluently, just from watching YouTube. I believe if he would have gone through education, he would not be able. So I'm just careful about this. Maybe another thing is the desires you have are not really yours. For example, I always say with kids you need to be very careful. Do you really want to have kids out of your own longing, sole purpose, and that's of your partners? Or is it more because your parents want to become grandparents? The society wants to have future taxpayers. So I'm just careful also on that level. Where is your desire coming from? Why you do what you do? Is it the internal voice, your soul talking, or is it your mother or father talking? There is a limitation. Really, we invented time. I don't really believe that time exists. It's a human invention. Time in nature is cycle. It's not like, and time at the end, it's also a cycle. It's the movement of the moon, for example. So let's put it that way. I believe time is time on Earth. We have around, let's say, in Switzerland is 86 years on average a male lives. It's incredible. I mean, just let that sink. You're gonna live your life till 70 years in a work, whatever environment, and then you have 16 years to enjoy the whole thing. For me, it doesn't make sense. I retired with the age of 33, and it was a joke, and it was also no joke. I really retired with the age of 33. I stepped out of the matrix, or this working for money thing, and it was my best decision of my life. So that is already 9 years ago. Back to the question, is it feeding off your energy? Yes, it does. And what's feeding it is that you sell your time for money. I'm really If you sell your time on earth for money or for the sake of money, and you exchange then this fiat money into materialistic stuff, I would really put it on pause for a moment. It can be that is your life purpose. I can't speak in your behalf. I just say be very careful if you exchange time to money. Another thing is fear and stress. It's feeding off your fear and stress. That's why diseases go through the roof. I had a cancer. All the people currently alive will face one cancer in their life. Can you believe? It's almost we should have a topic in kindergarten or school, how to cope with cancer, because we all will have a cancer. And it's interesting we never talk about cancer because it's so dark and so bad. And yet everybody will face it. Stress and fear will keep you compliant, will keep you silent, will keep you as a good working bee or consumer. And the last one is the digital slavery. Like we are, as I said, you can use your phone and be in charge, or you can use it by being controlled of it. You can never put it away. Practical example is I try to not touch my phone as long as possible in the morning and as early as possible in the evening. So the last and the hour of the day and the first hour of the day is mine, is not the phone's. And that is already a game changer. When you can, not the first movement when you wake up is watching your phone. And the last thought when you go to bed is also not your phone. You have to take control and you have to take responsibility. Many people don't want, and yet it's so easy. You have power over your awareness. You have power where you put your energy. You have power where you put your thoughts, and you have power where you put your time. I would also say one element is detachment. So you detach from, I always say when you become more spiritual, you're so in love with all your spiritual concepts, and many then become a guru. I always say if you really want to be free, regardless what's your concept or story of how the things are, put it in a box and throw it out of your window. That's really the detachment. People become so much in love with their own views and stories that it becomes another religion. So if you really want to break free, you have to put that all in a box and throw it out of the window and start every day from scratch. Or I call it also conscious rebellion. Be a conscious rebellion means challenge the status quo in a positive way. Don't let other people tell you how universe works. Today we are living in the most interesting times, I believe. It's really a privilege to be alive with AI now being such an extraordinary opportunity. Go into deepness with AI. I do. Like it's my spiritual teacher, my companion. Don't waste your time on stupid entertainment on Netflix. I mean, that's the simplest, most simple advice I can give, because everybody has 24 hours, regardless of rich or poor, regardless of dumb or stupid. Intelligence is not the question. Everybody has 24 hours. In the Matrix, it would be I take the red pill and I question everything. I step back. I want to observe. I question authority. I don't like authority. For example, in health, when you want to heal yourself, why the doctor, sorry, with all the respects to doctors, why should the doctor know what's good for me? The only person who knows what's good for me is me. So that's really being true to yourself, but it takes a lot of courage that you step up. In my case, I had to step up and say, no, I don't want this treatment. I don't want to be in a hospital. I have to share this quickly because I didn't go back to hospitals because the name was not right and the energy, because they call it Krankenhaus in German, and it means an illness home, and I didn't feel ill. I felt happy even if I had a cancer. So in other words, it's really, you can leave all these systems behind if you have the courage to be true to yourself and to listen to your intuition. In my opinion, I had always a good intuition, and I was bold enough to listen to my intuition. Was it always right? No. When it went wrong, was it a problem? Not really. So it's not a question of survival. Detachment, I already said, illusion, but in many ways the illusion is so comfortable. So get comfortable with the uncomfortable, maybe something you can take away. Reclaim your mind. Like some people consume media and then they build opinion based on that media. One single source can be Swiss television or BBC, doesn't matter. It's just, I then ask, how did you collect the data to come up with this idea that XY person is a bad person just because media is telling us, oh, he's a monster and he's a dictator or she. Have you spoken with people who know that person, for example? Have you checked alternative sources? Like really, I say, where you get the data from to make an opinion is very important. Change that in your life and you will have a really different experience. Be careful what's your source of data, where you build your opinion on. The last one, which I always say, the city I want to live in is called authenticity. It does not exist, and yet it also exists. It's called authenticity, and the nation where this city is called imagination. So we can live in that imagination in the city called authenticity, because I believe it will be the new currency. We are going there. People are sick and tired from all this fakeness. People are sick and tired from all these, sorry to say, comedians and puppets and actors. So I'm very optimistic we are going in the very near future into much more reality. Because maybe through social media and through all this fake outside, we are longing to have authentic relationships, or to show who we are. If we are sad, we are sad. If we are happy, we are happy. We are just, the inner temperature is reflecting from the outer temperature. And that would be a wish maybe I want to give away. Can be as simple as when people ask, how do you do? Nobody says, I'm a piece of shit and I have a miserable day. It would be really nice that you can admit, I have one day of my month is miserable, and then I say I have my mini depression once a month. So being authentic already starts with sharing who you truly feel. I would wish that for you as a takeaway.